Wednesday morning here on KSJE, and it's time to take a trip to the Encouragement Lab, and there he is, none other than Dr. Mike Hattabaugh in the lab this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Scott.
Thank you for joining us. As always, things looking good in the lab today, so it's good to see you.
It is, though I got to talk against this lab today, which is going to be hard, but we'll try.
Okay, well, our topic is to quit stressing about facts, you told me, so I'm a little concerned about this show, so why do we have to do that?
So I got a question for you.
All right.
The latest news out is, should we wear a mask or not wear a mask?
Right.
That's the question.
Oh, you're asking me a question? I have to answer that? Okay. I would.
See, now you don't want to answer, and why? Because the facts collide with each other.
Well, the facts as I understand them is if I wear a mask, I am protecting others that I may come in contact with from myself who may be infected with this virus. So that's my answer.
And meanwhile, yesterday, the WHO came out and said, well, it looks like that if you aren't really sick, you're not transmitting this, right?
Those asymptomatic patients, I heard that.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
And here's the deal. I like you, Scott. I wear a mask when I go out and shop and go out into public places, because I would feel horrible if I came down with this and know that I gave it to somebody accidentally.
Right.
So again, I'm not against wearing masks, but my point there is all of us have a bit of a pause when we say that now, because the truth is we don't know, right?
Right.
And so that's the background for this comment. And it's really not about COVID-19 that I want to talk about. It's about the big picture of facts, whether it's about this, whether it's about the issues going on systematically about Black Lives Matter and police and racist issues in our culture. Is right now you have to understand, and this has been proven. What's funny is the facts prove that what I'm about to say is true.
Okay. All right.
And that is, guess what? We love to spew facts at people, but all decisions are emotional, all of them. And that's been proven in a lab with people and brain damaged people. It's just, we've talked about that before, that people with brain damage that can't make decisions based on emotion, can't make decisions.
Really interesting, because that's how they're all made. Okay.
Every single decision we make is made in the emotional context of our brain.
Interesting. Even though maybe we tell ourselves that we're being very factual and specific about how we make these decisions, it's really emotional.
We've been trained very well to use the facts to justify our emotional decisions. That's really where it all boils down to.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I'm getting more on board with this topic.
Okay. So I'm not here to tear down. So by all means, keep looking at the facts, but don't trust them out of hand, and don't trust yourself. We don't have to look very far at all to see people that are using their set of facts to justify their behavior.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, right.
And so that's my point here, is that ship has sailed, and if we're honest with ourselves, we don't trust the facts of the people on the other side of our arguments.
No, right.
We just don't trust them. And the reality is guess what? They don't trust our facts, because we all know, those of us, I got a doctorate, I know how to manipulate facts. Literally that's part of our training. Now, there's some people, there's some PhD right now is going, are you kidding me? I didn't manipulate my facts. Well, you chose which facts to publish. You chose which facts you were going to assess. And that's my point here, is that we all have created such a desire for facts. We now know that that's part of the game, is we have to cite facts in order to play the game, that they've become unreliable. Therefore, none of us are actually really, truly trusting them unless we emotionally agree with them. That's my point here. And that's, just realize that as major decisions are going to be made in our lives and in our culture's lives, they're going to primarily be driven by emotion. They're not going to primarily be driven by facts.
Interesting.
And that's just ironically, a scientific truth that we can take from social sciences, that's just the reality. And that the best we can do is try to hope that the consensus that we have as a culture heads us down the right path. That's why, I don't make many political statements on this show. Let me make one general one that I will make, and that is, that's why we always need to be slow to make big decisions.
Okay, well, true.
slow down. Now I get it. We sometimes racism, for instance, we've been saying slow for 150 years. So I get that. Don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying we shouldn't be changing some of these policies that
Right.
are obviously are working. Culture is showing with their emotional actions that they disagree.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So those have got to be changed. So I don't mean by slow down from that context, but what I'm saying is that sometimes the medicine kills us faster than the poison. And that's why I mean by slow is that sometimes we get out ahead of the long-term data, and by then the harm's done. Like I said, so I use the idea of a mask. And one of the things that I'm willing to let off almost everybody off the hook is we've never gone through this virus situation. We've never been in a position to go through it.
Right.
And so we will never know if and how many lives were saved by all of our actions that we took. We'll never really know. There'll be prognosticators that try to play out the facts and say, well, here's what it would have happened. But the reality is we just don't know. But we do know that we did our best to try to curb it. And now if anything's out there for very long at all, the politicians are going to take hold of it and ruin it. I'll make that statement of politics.
Well, I think you're being very bipartisan by blaming all politicians, so I'm okay with that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, they
both do it, both sides.
Everything. And so that's what I mean by that is that realize that when we start to react quickly without some foundation to it, it's going to be hijacked by the highly emotional politicians. And that's how politicians make their money. I don't know how many of them that come on your show will admit that, but ultimately they have to emotionally sway you that whatever their idea is right.
Well,
and I just want us to have the right perspective doing that. That by and large, now that we're all really well versed, we've been trained really well to spew facts at people.
Yes.
And so therefore we've inoculized ourselves against them. And again, Dallas Willard, a philosopher at USC, said this 20 years ago. He said, "Look, we've reached the end of what research and data can give us as a society. We don't know that yet. We're going to still, head down that trail. But the reality is that has played itself out to where now it's become unbelievable. We had all this huge, long stretch of amazing scientific finds." But now we've gotten so inundated by data that it's just too much. We can't process it all. And therefore, we're not doing a good job of processing in a healthy way.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So we should quit stressing about these facts, you tell me.
Quit thinking that your facts are going to change the argument. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Okay.
Well, if we keep thinking, if you just hear this stat that I have, you'll listen to me. It doesn't work anymore.
No.
I think everybody can see that.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
No. There's a lot of brick walls that you're banging your head against, I think. So that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Hattabaugh, you've won me over. Thank you. In 7 minutes. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you.
We'll see you next week. That is Dr. Mike Hattabaugh. He joins me every Wednesday from the Encouragement Lab right here on KSJE.